Welcome to this talk about full stack Node or Java. And I prepared for this presentation very well. I put in a British flag, so I did that. And also, I heard there is a new king in town, so I put that in. And I promised on Twitter that I would address the audience with Lord and Lady, Lord or Lords and Ladies. Are there any Lords and Ladies in the audience? Any British royalty? No, nobody? Okay, I watched a lot of Downton Abbey to do this right.
You can be royalty if you just buy one square something in Scotland where they will plant a tree for you.
That's right, and that's what I did in preparation of this talk, because if there is crazy shit on the internet you can do, I will do it. So I bought this, and now I am a lord. Okay, but it doesn't seem relevant anymore, as there are no other lords in this room. So I will just address you as normal people, like we all should be. Okay, but that aside, let's get this talk started. So what we will do in the next 40 minutes, we will talk about how you can build an web app with pure Java APIs, and we will store data with MicroStream, or as it is now called, Eclipse Store. And so this is brand new, so you forgive me if I call it MicroStream, and you will know that it's also Eclipse Store, because this project, it's a startup, and they gave it to the Eclipse Foundation. So it's at the Eclipse Foundation now, and they had to have a new name. So it's now called Eclipse Store. Okay? And if I say MicroStream, you will replace that in your head. And then we will build a front end without touching any HTML, JavaScript, or CSS or anything. We will just use pure Java APIs. And why is that? Because when I started coding Java, I like to do Java Swing. Is anybody in the room that ever touched Java Swing? Yes! Okay, you are my crowd. That is perfect. So if you like that, you will enjoy that. And I enjoy it a lot because I don't get along with the other stuff. Okay? And you will get a lot of opinions from me. And please don't rate this talk. I had a talk and I said I don't like Kubernetes. So, and I got a bad feedback because they said the speaker doesn't like Kubernetes. So please leave my opinions, just my opinions. I'm not saying this is good or bad for anybody else, just for me, okay? Good. Where does my experience come from? I have been in the Java space for almost 20 years, mostly using Java myself. I did some other things around the Java ecosystem, and I'm a JUG leader in Germany. We have a nice Java user group called Java User Group Oberpfalz, and I'm also co-organizer of the JCon Developer Conference in Germany, in Cologne. Okay, let's get started. This is what it looks like today. If you want to build an app with Java, you mostly build the backend, and then some other people come around and they will build the front end. Or if you're really cool, you're a full stack developer, you do it all by yourself. And to do this today, you have to know a lot of frameworks and techniques. And there are some pictures here, and I don't like that, because actually, who can keep up with this? You go to the next project, they do a different front-end framework, everything is a little bit different, but also a little bit the same, so this is really bad. If it's all different, you're good. If it's a little bit the same, a little bit different, you're bound to make mistakes, right? So that's not my stack. So let's put this into my stack, because this is more my stack. It's Java. This is what I know. This is what I can do, and this is what I'm going to try. And as you can see in this presentation, I was very hungry as I put together these slides, because this is a stack of pancakes, like the US folks do it, but I'm not a pancake guy. I'm a burger guy, so I put this in. And this is the transition from using all of these different techniques to use just Java. So why should you think about that? Away from the thoughts, okay, I'm lazy and I just want to do one thing, is frustrating. I always make mistakes, it takes a lot of time, and it's not productive, and I hate that. A lot of talks today were about developer productivity. Have you seen the keynote? Yes, by Sven? He talked a lot about developer joy, productivity. That's not like joy looks like, okay? He had a different approach to bring joy. It was more like the framework, how you work, how you do it, how you measure things, was good things. But for me, what missed in this presentation was the tools that you use when you are really coding, okay? no blaming, but this is perfect. This aligns. So you can use the techniques you've seen in the keynotes, and when it gets to doing the job, you might want to do something that is not as frustrating as this. And then, of course, there's another benefit. You can really master it. Not having like 10 frameworks that you know a little. It would be much better to have one that you really master and where you're very, very productive. And you will see, as we start the live coding, that you can be very, very productive and have a lot of fun building a web app. And then, of course, another topic that was brought up today in many talks, this is inclusion. So when you have a new team member coming on, and they want to fit into the team, help out, there's a lot they have to know, and you have to mentor them on a lot of things. If you just stick with Java and you have somebody that is already proficient in Java, they will automatically know what to do and have fun. And this is very inclusive and also helps when you argue with your boss, manager, employer, whatever, to use these techniques. So we will start off with our persistence layer that we will do with MicroStream or Eclipse Store, as it's called today. And you made it to the first set of slides, and we will do some live coding, and you can see me hack, okay? So, and if you have any question at any point, just let me know. I look at my screen, so you gotta make a noise, so I look up, okay? So, okay, let's look at this. As you can tell, I was very, very hungry. Is this big enough for you to see? Is it, or should I zoom in? Okay, thumbs up, okay, perfect. So I was very hungry, so I created a pizza class. And I wanted to have, of course, a name, calories on it. And in this example, I have no database ID, as you can see. I actually put a comment in so you can really visualize this. So this is a different approach. And we had this for a long, long time in Java. It's serialization. Does anybody use serialization? Yes, a few people, thank you. And, okay, do you like it a lot? No, why? It's terrible, why?
Because it's taking away all of the pointers, all of the references that were made, and it serializes the object by flushing out everything outside of this object, printing it again, and again, and again, and again.
Okay, you have some technical issues, yeah. Okay, and you're losing pointers and stuff like that. Okay, is anybody concerned about security with serialization? Yes, few people. Yes, that's the main concern usually, because it has some problems. You could make Java do bad things with serialization. Actually, there are quotes that say most of the bugs, security-related bugs in Java and vulnerabilities result from exploiting serialization things. And it's really easy. There are good talks by Steve Poole, for example, that show you how you can hack really easy a Java app with serialization. That is why it's fallen onto a bad opinion and people don't like it. But actually, it's a really good concept. And I just wanted to explain it for you, for those who don't use it for a sec. So you have your standard domain object with the things you want to store, and then you just implement serializable, an interface that is a marker interface. So it brings no methods for you to implement. It just marks this class as serializable. And then what you can do is you can have a serial version UID. This variable has this exact name. So this is an implicit contract. And then you can give it any number. And this is just so when you store it to disk and you read it again, you can know if it's the same version. So if you change something here, if I add a field, for example, here, I should do something with this version number so that the next time I will read this from disk, I will know that this is not the same thing that I wrote there. Okay, so this is perfect, I think. So bear with me for a second. And I wrote a little application, so not too much. I want to have a little business. You've seen the other keynote from the guy with the imposter talk. I forgot his name, but it was really cool. And he said he created a business to order online sweets and stuff like that, and I really love the idea. So this is about an online shop for pizzas, so you can order a pizza online. And for this, we have a really great data structure. It's just a map with the time of the order and then what pizza is ordered. And these are my orders, okay? Very straightforward. And then I have some code that uses object input stream to read my pizza orders, so I can have my orders that were stored before. And then because when I start the program, orders is of course empty. There's nothing in it because I say it's a new hash map, okay? And then I put another order. I order a Hawaiian pizza. This is the one with pineapple on it. Any opinions on that? Okay. It's good that you don't have stones you can throw. Okay. That's good. Okay, and then I write it out with object output stream, and then at the end, so this is basically my business logic, I print it to the console. Okay, this is the program. Let's run this. And it will produce an error at first because I don't have any data stored. And it would tell me there is nothing to load. So I have a look here. Okay, there's no database, my database 1, nothing here. And then it just added the one thing. So if I do it again, it should have something. And it should add this. Okay, let's do it. Perfect. As you can see, we have 2 orders in, different times, and now this works. So this is basically how serialization works. So this is beautiful in my opinion, but it has a few flaws, a few people don't like it, security concerns. Okay, so new solution, new solution. We have something better now, and that is called Eclipse Store or MicroStream. So basically, let me have that here. Same thing. This is the old one, and let's have the new one also. I have 2 pizza classes now, and this is the pizza classes that were outfitted with a serializable interface and a serial version UID, and here I have just pizza. And this is how it should look. Okay, you have a very clean domain class. If you are one of these very purist domain-driven design people, this is perfect. No interfaces, no superclass that you have to inherit from, no annotations, very important. So no nothing. This is perfect. Why is it perfect? Because I can use it with any class in any software. So if I use a framework that does not provide those annotations for MicroStream, no problem, because you don't need any. So this is great. And also, if I look at my code, here it's much cleaner, of course, because there is a little bit of framework here. And you can see I have the same. This is basically my business logic. I have my orders hash map. Then I have a storage manager. This is something from MicroStream. And then I can put my pizza in, and then I call here to store this, and then I will shut down. I don't have to shut down. I'm just a friendly developer. I'm shutting down. Okay, this is how it works. So let me show you how this runs. So it does basically the same. I don't get an error at first because this is something that MicroStream handles. Of course, I could have handled that in the other program too, and it just works. And this is beautiful because what does this mean? Of course, I can run it a second time. This means I have serialization fixed that works. And this is really great because now I don't need a database for microservices. This is perfect because you can just run, for example, an AWS Lambda or an Azure function or whatever you have and run this. And it's great. You don't need a database to store things, and every microservice has its own storage. So this is perfect. Let me show you what this means for our POM files. So the first example was just Java, because serialization is built into Java. There are no dependencies at all. If you look at the second example, of course you have a dependency to MicroStream, and there is a dependency to SLF4J, a logging facade that I will tell that it should not log anything, and that's it. And MicroStream is perfect because it has no transitive dependencies. So this is not bringing any Guava or any Apache Lang, something. So this is really clean. And this is on purpose because this is made to be added to existing projects where you can use this to store things because it does not bring any dependency hell to your place. Okay? That's really great. Okay, this was the first part of the presentation. This was easy storing, and now we will combine this easy storing because it was a little bit boring, right? It just works. It's always the things that just work is just boring. So, and we will bring this to UI, which is much more complicated, okay? Let's have a look. Let's go on. Okay, and I forgot this slide, of course. MicroStream is also transactional. So it uses only append approach. So if you change data, it will append this data onto the binary store. The binary store can be anything. It can be a file, it can be a Kafka topic, it can be something like S3 from Amazon, simple storage service, anything that can take bytes. And then it will just append. The question that pops to mind is, the file will always grow, right? If you just append. So there's some housekeeping that is something similar to a Java garbage collector that will look at the storage from time to time and clean up. And with this only append method, you have transactional security. So if the transaction is not fully on disk, it will roll it back the next time. And if it's on disk, it is there. Because we don't delete anything, we can always go back and have the old version back, okay? So this is great. And here you see it again. Of course, this is, if you omit all the methods, then you can see that it's really, really clean. And of course, there is records now, but I wanted this to be also a very inclusive talk, because I don't know how much people can actually use records. Who is on Java 17 or higher? Okay, this seems to be about a quarter of the audience, okay? So, and the rest is doomed. They have to do it this way, okay? If you have records, it's even better. Yeah, I don't have to tell you. Okay, and then the other thing is, you mentioned that before, the problem with serialization is you only get a tree, you don't get a graph. With this, you can have a graph. What's the difference? Sometimes you have cyclic dependencies. So A references B, B references C, and C references A. So this is something that will not work with standard serialization. With MicroStream or Eclipse Store, this will work, so this is great. And also, it's super safe. There is, from the NCC group, there is some paper where they reviewed it and tried to break it. They couldn't break it. So if they can't break it, it should be safe enough for use. And it's also very fast. There is a paper from the University of Bamberg in Germany. MicroStream claims that they are 1,000 times faster than a regular database. And they said that's not all the time true, only half of the time, and then it's 400%. Yes, not 1,000 times, but 400 times faster. So that's still a good claim, I think. So if you want to do something that is really fast, I can recommend that. Okay, let's move over to the second part where we talk about the front end. And this is the type of front end I'm talking about. This is a Vaadin application. I took it from the Vaadin website. Basic business application. So this is not for games, I think. This is for a regular business application. Does this somehow look something like the applications you develop? Show of hands. Okay. The other guys, you are doing fancy stuff. Okay, great for you. Okay, that's good. So how does Vaadin work? So Vaadin tries to hide HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all those things from us Java developers, which is really great. And I have to say, if you go back later and you have a look, there are two frameworks from Vaadin nowadays. One is called Hilla. This is for the JavaScript guys, okay? That's okay too, but what you want is Vaadin Flow. And it has a really nice word in it, flow, because it keeps you in flow. And we will see this when we live code that. And what is basically happening? We have some things going on. We have a web browser that has web components. And if you Google that, Vaadin used to use GWT, GWT, Google Web Toolkit, some of the names it has, it's like Voldemort. And they use that to generate transpile from Java to JavaScript. That is not anymore. Today they just use standard regular web components as specified by the WC standards. So this is really great because this is very interoperable. And then you have a server-side application that is your Java code, and you have data binding to those web components, and you can have data binding to web components that are not from Vaadin. So Vaadin provides a set of components. You can use them. If you're not satisfied, you can have your own web components or from another framework and just utilize this in the backend. And they will synchronize the events from the client to the server, and you will get Swing-like APIs, and then you can use that. So this is very, very, very convenient. And this is how it looks like in another diagram. So you have a lot of clients, and they all have their JavaScript web components. They are rendered of course, on the client, and then there is communication between the server and the client, and you get updates on what was clicked in the front end, and then you can do something with it. And that's what we're going to do. Okay. Close everything down here, and then we will have a look here. So for this, I still have my pizza. I added some other things. I have a menu ID. Why is that important? Because I can't pronounce the names, and it's better for me to have a number. I don't know about you. When I order in a restaurant and they ask me what you want, when I can say I want number 50, this is very convenient for me. This is why I put this in the application. So it's no database ID. I have a calories, description, and then the standard things going on here. So, and of course, we have some sample data. And because we don't have a database, we use MicroStream or Eclipse Store. This is really nice. So we just have this database that is lying on the disk. And if I just wanted to use a new one, I just use a new file. And then, let's do it this way. And then I put some data in it. If it's empty, I put some demo data in it, right? OK? That we will use for the UI, so we have something to look at. That's great. OK, now to the magic. We will have a view. And this is how they look. This framework uses inheritance, so you can have a vertical layout. So if I add components, they will be stacked up vertically. And I can just go ahead, like in the Java swing times, I can just put button, and I have to import that. There's a Vaadin button, Vaadin flow button. I say my button, and then I go new button, of course, and I can label the button with something, click me, and that's basically it. Okay, I can, and I have to add it, of course. I have to add it to the UI, like it was in Swing. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay, we will save that. And I have a browser here that I started before the session. Okay, yes, it's here. And we have the click me, and I want to do this side by side so you can see the progress. Let's put this here. Okay, and now I add, for example, I add an action listener. So like in Swing, I would say my button, I would go add action, add click listener, of course, still in the Swing. And then I would say I have an event, and I don't care what the event does. It's a click, and I say I want to have a new notification, and I want to show something, and I say clicked. Okay, that's basically what I want to do here. And I save this, and I click, and I get this. So this is very productive because I just do it, and it just works. Okay, so but that's not what you do from a day-to-day basis. Clicking button things is fun. We have to build a business application. That's what I promise. And we'll keep this promise, and we will build a business application. So I prepared 2 other menu items. I have a list, and I want to edit my pizzas, of course. So let's first display a list of pizzas. And how can we do this? We will go here, go to my to-dos view. I stole all that. And now I use a tool that generates code for Vaadin. So I could type all this, because we're talking about developer productivity. I will not type all this. I will let the code be generated by a UI builder. And this is something that I love from Visual Basic. Anybody work with Visual Basic 6 or so? Yes, a few people. Okay, this is the right crowd for me, right? So I love this because I was very, very productive with Visual Basic, because I could use an UI builder and just build my UI. This is what I want to do here. So I got here a few components. Okay, that are still loading. And I want to have a grid. And I just pull the grid onto this canvas. Now I have a grid, and I want to have data in this grid, and I want to have pizzas. And I just pulled the pizza class. Oh, it was clicked too often. I just pulled the pizza class over here. Okay, there's something wrong here. The demo gods are not happy with me today. Let me try it again. No. Okay, now it worked. Sorry for that. And now it discovers my class and says, okay, you got a lot of things in here. What do you want to have in this grid? And I say, I want to have the menu item, the name, calories, description, all that. And then you can set a lot of things for ordering or width, headers, stuff like that. I just keep this as it is, and it will generate the code for that. And of course, I don't want to see all the pizzas all the time. I want to filter a little bit. So I will add a filter component to that on the top. So okay, I have a filter component, and I have my, my pizzas list. Okay, I save that, and then you can see the code is generated here in this block. And as you can see, this is the code that you would write by hand normally, but it's generated, and you don't have to use this tool after that. You can just throw it away and edit that by hand, but it's usually more productive to use this tool. And then I have a little bit of code to not have to fumble with this, and I just say, hey, I have a data store here where my pizzas are in. You've seen that before, this MicroStream, and I just want to display all of that in my list here. And as you can see, it already worked, and I have a grid filter on here. The filter component comes with it. I can already filter. It's disabled, so today is not a good day for my demo gods. Come again? Okay. Yes, I forgot something. You're right. I have to say I connect this to this grid. That's true. Thank you. So I will save that. And now it works. Perfect. Okay, yeah, now it works. And I can say I want to have Hawaiian pizza and the one with ham, or the Mexican one, of course. So this is very, very productive to get this done. I also can say, okay, I just want to filter by name, and then I want to have another thing only starts with, and then I can do the same, and so on. So this is how you create a list. So very, very productive. And now we have to come into the next promise. I promised that we would have the option to edit the pizza. And this goes basically the same way, just you don't add a grid. So we will take the picture view, and I will drag in my pizza. And again, it will inspect the class, and it will find the fields of the class, and then it will tell me, hey, calories looks like a number. You want to have a number field for that. If I would have a date, then it would offer me a date picker and stuff like that. So that works. I'm not fully satisfied with the order here, so I can change the order. I will change it a little bit here, and then yeah, just do this. And then again, I get the code created, and I need a button to save something. I will have a button. So we did that by hand, but it's even easier to do it this way. And then I can, with the properties view, I can say, hey, I want this button to say save. And we are done. And in the second I save that, the UI is reloaded, and it has it here, which is really great. And just to show you that this is really really good, it works really good and really well, I will say, of course, we need an exclamation mark. And again, when I save this here, it gets deployed, and it has the exclamation mark here, which is perfect for me, so I can see what I'm doing. So I need to add a little bit of code to get that thing saved. So I have that here. So or I don't. This is the pictures view. We have a few components in here. We have in a number field. We have in labels. These are the labels for these input components, which is very great. We have the button. We added all of that. And at some point, I lost my prepared code, so we will get that back in a second. So we will do some Git magic and get it back because it would take too long to code all that. Here it is. Shouldn't play with your examples before your talk. Okay, and of course we need a click listener for our button, and we can just double tap that. We get that click listener here, and then we can paste that here. And I'm using the stupidest way to do it, just to make a point that it's really, really easy to do it. I'm just collecting from every component the value that was entered. I do no validation of the data I get, so I'm probably get hacked with that. But of course, you have to do a little bit of validations, but you can use your standard bean validation to validate the input on your classes that you usually would do. And those also get picked up in the UI, and you can use that in the UI, and you get it before it's sent to the server also. And then at the end, I will just add this new pizza that I collected from the user interface to my data store and store it with the rest of the pizzas. And I will just let's do a notification when we're done. Let's do that. Let's do notification and put show saved. Okay. Just to make sure looks good. Okay. And then we will have the chance to put this in. We have a menu ID. Let's say this is 99, and the name is the King's Pizza. What does the king like on his pizza? Money. What? Money. Okay, money on the pizza. And they have in Germany they have currywurst, which is a famous dish, and they do it also with gold. So if you want to pay a lot of money, you can have that plated with gold. So yeah. Okay, money, gold, crown, always good. Okay, that's a lot of calories, okay? Let's do that. And then save. And it's not clearing because I didn't say it should clear, okay? Let's see if that worked. Let's have a look. It's here. The King's Pizza is in the house, and it's in there. It works just like the other things. It's in the filtering and everything because it's all in memory and in Java. So, okay, perfect. Or any questions at this point? Okay. Everybody happy with the progress we made until now? Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. Very good. Let's have a look at our POM file, how that works. So what kind of dependencies do I pack with that? There is more, of course. In this case, I use the Eclipse framework, which will bring as a transitive dependency the Vaadin flow framework. And then you have the same as before. I have MicroStream and SLF4J. And if I look at this other view here, you can see there is a lot of stuff coming with Vaadin. And why is that? Because every component that I use comes in a different jar. This is very modular. Let's look here. You have Vaadin button, flow, and all of these components, checkbox, and so on. This is all in there, and this all comes with the framework, and now you have a lot of dependencies, but they manage that very efficiently. So, and then this is a bigger framework, the UI, then you get a lot of stuff in. It's not as easy as MicroStream. As you can see, MicroStream here, again, is these are just MicroStream dependencies. It's this just its own framework, and there is no third-party dependencies on it, except for SLF for JS or logging facade. Okay, very good. You made it to the second coding part. That is perfect. That is perfect. And you've seen Eclipse, which is perfect. So if you want to drive this a little bit further, because now we have our app that runs on the browser, which is great. We have our storage that we can use without any SQL or Hibernate or OR mapper or any database dependency that somebody from the ops team has to set up for us. Now we need to deploy this to the cloud, right? Because this is just on my machine. So we need to get this out. And for that also are good Java APIs available. For example, the AWS CDK, which is very nice. So you get a very nice Java API where you can just say, hey, I want to have, for example, a new Lambda. And then on this AWS Lambda, you can put your application. So this is really great. Or you can have an AC2 instance or whatever you need, an S3 bucket where you can put your data. So this is really great. So we can really make the journey from having the idea of your app or getting the specs, the requirements in, coding it with just pure Java. Of course, you have to know one or two frameworks, but as you've seen, these are really straightforward, right? And then you can deploy your app. So this is what fascinates me and what I like about the whole Java ecosystem. There is still room for guys like me that just don't want to change and keep doing the same stuff all over again. Okay. For all the examples in this talk, you can go to this GitHub repo. For the brave ones, you can scan the QR code and can see how I drain your bank account, or you can just type in the URL, okay? I'll give you a sec to take the photos, and we can use this time for questions. Nobody had questions in the middle, so I was not prepared for that. Do we have a mic for the questions, or should I repeat it? Okay, I will just repeat the questions for the recording. Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't really understand how we will manage the style of the front end, because at the beginning you said we will manage to use one tool from the beginning. I just don't understand how you are going to make the front end a little bit fancier.
Fancier? You mean more beautiful in terms of colors and stuff like that? Okay.
I don't understand how are you going to introduce the styling.
Okay. So the question is, how do I add my corporate design, styling, what my designer think to this application? Okay, they can use CSS. Let me show you. They can, of course, go ahead and do everything, because this is just a regular JavaScript application now, and with basic web components. And yeah. As you can see, there's nothing really super fancy going on. So you get your selectors on everything, and there is also a thing called themes. And Vaadin also has a theme builder that you can use, or you can do it by hand. So you can discover the properties by hand and say, okay, I want different CSS styling for that class, or you can use this style creator. Let me look that up real quick. Vaadin theme editor. Oh, yes. Yes, they have that. Okay. So you have the basic components, and then you can say, I want to have this in dark mode, and then I say my, here you got your standard buttons. Sorry, it's down there. Let me bring that up a little bit for the folks in the back. Okay, I know it's hard to see if it's all the way down. So it's green now, and you can say, let's use a different, it's still green. I think it stays green, but you can use, say, success. Okay, I want to have this blue if it's a success, and then you get that. So if that is enough for you, you can just use that, and it will spit out a file that you can download and put into the app. So, and then you got a whole, then the things match. And if you have like real designers, so folks that Java people don't understand, that have opinions about colors, they will figure it out. Okay? Does that answer the question?
Yes, almost. Just to see in the code where you are going to locate this file, how do you manage these external resources in that?
Yeah. The question is, how do I manage these external resources? So you have, let me see, you have a front-end folder, and there is it. So it's empty now because you just used the standard, but you can hack away and do your thing. Okay? Perfect. Are we good? Okay, perfect. Yes?
Yeah, okay. The question is, because this example is quite simple, you are using both front-end and back-end together, and the data binding is, you have the data there. So if you have already a back-end which exposes an API, that's the case I have. Then a front-end, the security reason has to be a front-end component, also is Java, and then I have the UI in is Vue.js in this case. I really don't want to work with Vue. I'm thinking in moving that front-end to Vaadin, for example, could
Yeah.
wait. But then, of course, the data binding, because you had it in one of the previous slides, has to be done in this front-end component and then via REST APIs calls to the backend, right? It's one of the first slides.
This is, I think it's here. Let me bring that up. I think this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your question?
Yeah, I mean,
You don't like it, or?
no. I think that this is really, I mean, the idea behind, because, you know, the problem with Vaadin, prime faces and JSP is that if you really start coding there and the binding to the data model goes to the backend, it's super coupled at the end. So there's no way to move back from that.
Absolutely.
But with this approach, let's say, I mean, we can try it out without really being very dependent, and we don't like it. So it's not a confirmation. It's not that's my question. I can go there, right? Try having this.
Yeah.
This way.
Okay, so let me rephrase. The question is, you have a backend service here. You've got the green boxes, and then you have a Vue front-end application that talks to your backend via a REST endpoint. And now the question is, how would you go ahead and try that with Vaadin? So with Vaadin, you would have either if there's a Java application, you could bundle this together. If it's not, you would have to have a Java application running that calls the REST service, takes the data, and then uses what I've shown before to display it with Vaadin. And then you have one more thing running, of course, on your server. I would say that works if it's very productive for you, but in terms of backend resources, you have more backend resources running at this point. And one question that usually comes to mind is, okay, but how many sessions can this handle? And there's a good article from Matti Tarfonen, where he measures this, and he says with 1 gig, I think you can handle 2,000 or 6,000 sessions or so. I wrote a tweet about it, I forgot it, but I will look it up. But you can handle a lot of sessions with 1 gig of RAM with the Vaadin flow. So you could just try it out, and I think it wouldn't break nothing. And one more thing that you mentioned was you have really tight coupling, because I take the data from my data store and just give it to the front end. That's absolutely true. That could be
what I want to avoid.
You want to avoid. You can still copy it, of course, as you would do. So you could just have 2 different objects or classes, and you would provide the one class to the UI and the other one to the backend, and then you can have something between it that will copy the data. So if you change the backend, you're not forced to change the front end. Okay. Yes.
I would like to expand on the question. Take for example the grid that you have shown in the example that you quoted. Does it support designation, and what about completable fusions?
Okay.
Can we have asynchronous communication with this old classic swing API?
First question, does the grid that I've shown before have pagination? Yes, you can have that. That's no problem. It's built into the system, and it will only send, so you would have the data here. Let's say you had 1 million entries, and it will only send a few entries to the browser, and it will look at the browser at the viewport and decide how many entries it should send. And it has some logic in it, and you can also like customize that logic, how much entries should be sent to browser, and the web component will also forget some of the entries if you scroll, if the list is too long, so you don't overburden the memory on the other thing. And the other question was about?
Does it support complete for future and asynchronous APIs, Java reactive APIs?
So in the back end, yes, but what do you want to do it within the front end?
Say, for example, that you have a class that accesses the data from the backend in a asynchronous way, such that it requires the use of completion stages. Can we use completion stage API with the current API? Why not?
I don't think why not. I don't see why not. So, okay. We've got
I meant without using the .get function or .join function, without blocking the thread.
Oh, I don't think so.
What
I don't think, I have to get back on that. I don't think so, but not a definitely no, not a definite. Okay, any other questions? We got a few minutes left for other questions.
While
Yeah.
using MicroStream, can we keep the data in memory rather than putting it on a file?
Yes, that's actually one of the core concepts. You will try to keep as much memory in data, much data in memory, and you will put it on file only to store the state. So you could run, or you could say that MicroStream is nothing else than just using Java, and at that point, when you have to persist things, this is where MicroStream comes into play. So imagine building a Java application just with collections and the data structures that you would use, and you don't have to go with the relational model and break up everything in this flat structure. You can have a graph of data, and if you are done with the application, just store it. Usually people will store it in between, so they have something on disk, but in case somebody pulls the plug. But you could only run in memory and only go to disk if you run out of memory or somebody pulls the plug. And there is also a lazy loading mechanism where you can have data in an object graph that is on disk. A part of the graph is on disk and a part of the graph is in memory.
Okay, so I'm mainly asking the question to see how we can work, or how if it's possible to use micro to replace Gemfire, for example.
Java?
Gemfire, it's like one tool, it's like a in-memory database kind of thing that you would use.
Can you repeat that?
Gemfire.
Gemfire?
It's fine if you haven't heard.
No, never heard of that, sorry. So I should have take a look at it. Yeah, cool. Okay. So thank you for coming to the talk. Everybody that asked a question, feel free to grab a t-shirt and have fun here in London at Devox, and I enjoyed it with you. And one more thing. They asked me to do that. There is an app. If you have the app, and I hope you have, please leave a feedback so I can know which jokes I should repeat and which I shouldn't, and tell me if it was worth my money to buy a Lord's title for this presentation, okay? Thank you very much.